What's up, my people? It's the objective, or you are listening to the Objective Jerk, and I am said jerk. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's been good. I've been busy. I recorded like crazy last month, and then this month I don't know, I just got stuff to do, and so I keep pushing back recording a podcast, unless like something's really eating at me to talk about, you know? So maybe that's why, because Charlie Kirk and all that kind of crap happened. So it was, and then I kind of go through periods where I try to just avoid politics and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to do just that. And, just try and, stay busy. That's all. So it's good. I'm glad that I'm busy. But actually, I got some stuff I need to do today, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to record a podcast. It's been a while. So I was on Facebook, I think, and I saw the little story, and I just briefly read it. I didn't read too much of it. It's about John Tornow, the wild man of Wenatchee, Washington. I've never heard of this story. And the most popular episode that I've done as far as on my podcast has been the Alaskan Avenger, which I recently listened to it again, and it's horrible. But I don't know, I guess people, they hear the story and then I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so I was just like, maybe I'll do another episode like that to kind of test the waters and see if this is also. But that had the cool title of The Alaskan Avenger. I'm going to change my mic a little bit. I'm like way close, huh? Anyway. So the wild man of Wenatchee, Washington. And, I grew up in Washington, and I've never heard of this. Maybe he should have been called the wild man of Washington, maybe. I don't know. But I've never heard this story. I was kind of surprised, so I wanted to kind of talk about it. And I don't know much about it. I know he's like a good old boy living in the woods. He was a problem for the local authorities, and they killed him. I saw a picture or something, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to... That's about all I know. So I'm going to read it, and we can learn about it together, But before I get into it, though, I do want to kind of, I was going to briefly talk about some other stuff that I wanted to add to the last episode, but the last episode was so long, I didn't have it in there. So let's see. That's what I talked about. I talked about that. The Peacemaker show, I guess, is crap. It looks like DC film universe, whatever it is now, with What's His Nuts is just failing, and they're gonna reboot it again. I noticed, and then like Jimmy Kimmel, right? I talked about him last month, and then his show came back, and then it was like massive ratings, but it only lasted for like one episode because everybody was just interested to see what he was gonna say about it. Which I said, I was like, yeah, it's not going to last. But there was, he made like it was a post on Facebook, I think. You can tell I'm Gen X or whatever because I'm on Facebook the most. I can't get on Twitter or X. I don't know. I get on there occasionally, but like I just can't do it. I don't know. Facebook, I don't know. I guess it's just the boomer in me. Plus, I like to see people I know. You know what I mean? You get on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have... I don't know. I don't think I have any friends that I follow. I should maybe reach out. But anyway. So, what was I talking about? Oh, Jimmy Kimmel. So, there was a post on... It could be wrong. It might have been something else, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I saw a post of... It was the Mexican dude that's on the Kimmel show. I know it's like his little sidekick. and like he was on an escalator, and the escalator wasn't working. And I actually didn't see the clip. What I happened to see was like a comment, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it was so funny what Jimmy said about that. You know, at least the escalator, if it's broken, it's still stairs, so that's cool. Whatever, blah blah blah." And all these people are like, "Oh, it's so funny, this and that, blah. He's so great, and blah blah blah." And I'm just like, dude, he stole that joke from Mitch Hedberg. You know, that's Mitch Hedberg's joke, and he's not alive to, you know, defend himself or his joke. So not only is Jimmy Kimmel not funny, he's an idiot with TDS. He's stealing jokes. So the joke is, if you've never watched Mitch Hedberg, he has kind of an acquired taste, I think, because he has a shtick. He has whatever he had, but it was hilarious though. I thought it was hilarious. I had a couple of his CDs. I don't think I still do, but anyway, no, I don't know. You got to watch it because I can't. The way part of the joke was just the way he delivered his delivery and the way he did it. But he was saying is like he would just like rapid fire just say stuff, so it wasn't like, you know, a long story or nothing. He would just be like, the thing I like about escalators is that when they break down, they just become stairs. Sorry for the convenience. They'll have a sign that says the escalator's broken, but now they're stairs. Sorry for the convenience, you know. And yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's actually not good to walk on an escalator when it's not moving. I guess it's hard on it, but anyway, yeah. So then, of course, Kimmel's gonna steal someone else's joke, and now his stuff is just tanking, and he's a piece of shit. I'm trying to not say the F word in certain things, but I'll say shit because, you know, you gots to. Anyway, and then I saw that they're gonna put Shawshank Redemption back in the theaters, and they did this. They're doing this with a bunch of movies. Now, why do you think that is? It's because movie theaters are losing money because nobody's going to the theaters to watch the crap that's being put out. You know, oh my gosh, misogynist, racist, don't go see the movies. It's like, if the movie looks like crap, like these people expect you to watch everything and then criticize. It's like, no, I'm not going to waste my time on watching crap, you know, shows or movies, you know. It's like I did that. I went and saw a couple, or I'd watch some shows, and I'm like, what the crap is this? I learned my lesson, so now I wait, and I hear what, you know, word of mouth is and everything, and then I'll go. And I think that's a lot of people are doing that, and that's why nobody's going to the theaters. And you know, plus it's like, you know, with streaming and everything, you can just do it at home. The last few times I've been to the theaters, man, the people have been annoying. So I would rather just be at home too. But that's the thing, is the generation that grew up on movies and going to the theaters, which is my generation, we don't like going to the theater. We'd just rather stay home. And the younger generation aren't really into movies as much. You know, like my kids. My youngest kid, he likes, you know, his Jurassic Parks and Spider-Man and certain things, and he'll watch those. My oldest, he's into some movies and some shows. He likes anime, and he'll sit with me and we'll watch, you know, the classics, whatever, or what I think are classics, like Tremors. What's up? But my middle child, he couldn't care less. He does not care about movies. Every once in a while, he'll kind of, if he sees a meme about something, or, you know, somebody that he likes talks about something, then he'll be like, hey, he wants to watch Fight Club. I don't know if he's old. Yeah, he's old enough. And I have that movie, and it's, you know, my oldest has seen it, but other than that, you know, they don't really care. And that's the thing is, so you don't, the people that will go to the movie and support it, the people that are creating these films just totally like, you know what, they're toxic. We don't want to cater to them. We're going to cater to the people that don't go to the movies, which is retarded. So now you have the films that I Grew Up or whatever being re-released in the theaters, and these films are going to make more money than the movies that are put out now. So it's like, how does that make, the people, the producers and the writers and everything, how does that make them feel? It's like, do they not, can you not see, do they not understand that they're putting out shit? You know what I mean? It's just, and it's this culture of failing upwards. You put out stuff and it fails, it fails, it fails. Like the Tron movie, I'm not a big Tron fan. I watched the original when I was a kid. I didn't understand it. Now it's kind of fun to watch, but it's dated, obviously. Tron Legacy, I remember watching and I enjoyed it, but it was not something that I wanted to own. And then this one I haven't seen, but from what I can tell from reviews and whatever, this and that, it's like it's a completely different movie. And it's kind of a little bit of a bait and switch going, just all the same tropes going on. And it just seems to me that they should have concluded the original trilogy with the original characters and what they were going with. You know what I mean? They had the end of Legacy, and it looked like it was going somewhere, and then they got this new one, and it's just like, what the hell? It's like there's there's a movie in between the two that should have been released that didn't, and it's like, what's going on? It's like watching Star Wars and Return of the Jedi with no Empire Strikes Back, and you're like, what the crap is going on? You know what I mean? So they should have concluded the original Tron trilogy, and then this new one. If they would have done that and then they busted out with this new one, it probably would have done pretty good. But, these people are retarded idiots. They don't know what they're doing. And now they got to release, classic films like Shawshank Redemption, what came out in like 94, to get people to go to the theaters and pay money. I'm not going to go, but I don't think it's getting released here. But anyway, so it's just crazy. Anyway, okay. So, gonna talk about, I already brought it up, but Mr. John Tornow, let's see, Tornow, 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 it's gotta be Tornow, the wild man of the Wenatchee, Washington. So, like I said, I grew up in Washington, I never heard of this. Anyway, so this is I'm reading this off legendsofamerica.com, and looks like he was a twin, I guess. I don't know. I'll scroll down a little bit. But anyway, I'm just gonna start reading. Let's get to it. Coming from a respected family that homesteaded near the Satsop River in Washington. Satsop. I don't recognize that. John Tornow was born September 4th, 1880. When he was just a small child, he preferred the unexplored wilderness near his home as his playground, which a lot of us kind of did, I guess. And, I grew up in, like I said, in Washington. We used to play out in the woods and stuff all the time. As he grew, he spent more time with wild animals than with people. Yeah, I can understand, but I didn't do the same thing. When the boy was just 10 years old, his brother Ed killed his beloved dog, and young John retaliated by killing Ed's dog. Okay, that's I don't know. That's kind of crazy. At this time, Tornow began to shun people altogether, vanishing into the woods for weeks at a time. So he was, what, 10? Okay. Or maybe 13. All right. Hunting only for food, he learned to track as well as any Indian or Native American. And his shooting skills quickly became legendary. He would return to his home only for brief visits with his parents, usually bearing gifts of game. By the time he reached his teen years, this is insane, dude. So it's just like, hey, I'm going to go live out in the woods. Parents were like, all right, cool. I mean, because I understand back then, they didn't have, what's it called? Kids skip school. And you had people to make sure that the parents, were having the kids go to school. It's right there, but I can't think of it. But back then it was like, well, they used to help farm or do whatever to help the family, whatever. But apparently he wasn't doing any of that. I mean, he was giving them meat, I guess, and some stuff from his hunting. That's probably it, I guess. He probably gave more than, it says he, where'd he go? He would, he would briefly visits. He would return home only, so he probably returned home often, probably, get a couple things, change, maybe, I don't know, maybe his mom did his laundry. But, bringing the food and the meat and stuff, I guess, was how he contributed. So, okay. By the time he reached his teen years, almost any animal would approach him unafraid, and his family had begun to think he was just a little crazy. Well, when you spend all that time out there, As his brothers entered the logging business, eventually owning their own company, Tornow, is it Tornow or Tornow? I'm thinking Tornow. I'm going to say Tornow. Occasionally worked as a logger, but more often continued to maintain his solitary ways in the wilderness, living off the land, dressed in animal skins, and wearing shoes made of bark. John just wanted to be left alone with nature. Standing 6'4" and weighing nearly 250, damn, he's a big dude. Most people thought him a little strange, but harmless. 6'4", 250. I weigh about 250. I mean, it's turning from fat to muscle from going to the gym. I've been going to the gym for 3 months now on a regular basis. And I've noticed, improvements and this and that. And I was sitting there thinking I lost some weight. And then I weighed myself and I weighed the exact same. But yeah, because, muscle weighs more than fat. So, but I'm trying to add a little more cardio to kind of get a little more trimmer. But I'm only 6 foot. So 6'4", 250, that's a pretty intimidating kind of guy. Anyway, by the first decade of the 20th century, he rarely ventured out of the woods, but would occasionally watch the loggers as they worked. On one occasion, he supposedly said to a logger, I'll kill anyone who comes after me. These are my woods. Yeah, so maybe he was a little off. Convinced he was insane, his brothers captured him and committed him to a sanitarium in 1909. That was, I can imagine that being pretty difficult and pissing him off pretty bad. However, the facility, located deep in the heart of Oregon's wilderness, could not contain the large man. As some 12 months later, he escaped into the forest. Yeah, sounds about right. How rare is your dopamine addiction? Okay, anyway. There's all these ads for this test thing all over this thing. Anyway, for the next year, John was not seen or heard of until he began to occasionally visit his sister, her husband, and their twin sons. Oh, that's the twins I was looking at in the picture. Okay. John and Will Bauer. Ooh, I know a Bauer. Kind of looks like them. I wonder if this is his ancestors. They kind of look like him. That's funny. All right. He refused to have anything to do with his brothers, never having forgiven them for committing him to the sanitarium. Yeah. Spied occasionally with tangled hair, a long beard, and ragged clothes, his legend grew as people described him as a giant gorilla-like man seen running through the forest. Maybe this is that picture that was taken of, Bigfoot was actually this dude. What year was that taken? That was in the 70s, I think. So, or maybe the 60s. So he would have been too old. But anyway, loggers would say that he appeared to be a large, hairy beast, seemingly appearing out of nowhere before once again vanishing into the forest. Well, if there was any sightings back then, I'm thinking that it was because of this dude. Who knows though? What if all the Bigfoot there could be other people living the same life and, Anyway, in September 1911, 100 years before 2011. Oh, no, it was 2001, 9/11. Duh. All right, Tornow shot and killed a cow grazing in a clearing by his sister's small two-room cabin at the Olympic Peninsula. While he was dressing out his kill, a bullet whizzed over his head and dropping his knife, he lifted his rifle and fired 3 times in the direction from where the bullet had originated. When he went into the brush, he found his... Oh, man. When he went into the brush, he found his 2 19-year-old twin nephews lying dead. Dude, he capped them both? That's crazy. As to why John and Will Bauer shot at Tornow, it was suggested that the pair thought he was a bear feeding off. Probably, if he's all big and hairy and shit. That makes sense. Man, that's rough, dude. This is crazy. This could be a show. Alright. Let's see. They thought he was bear feeding off one of their herd. However, some historians believe that the boys intentionally made John Tornow their target. Tornow. I keep saying Tornow. Though the truth will always remain a mystery. The mountain man no doubt reasoned that someone was trying to capture or kill him when he returned fire. Why would he be a target from then? I don't know. I kind of think the former. I think they thought he was a bear or some kind of animal. After seeing the dead bodies, Tornow quickly fled the scene, disappearing into the deeply forested Wenatchee Valley. This incident would become the beginning of a legend that would grow large over the next several years and ultimately result in the death of the solitary mountain man. You think he would at least went to his sister and be like, "Bro, I'm sorry, I accidentally shot them." When the Bauer boys did not return from home, their family contacted Chehalis County. Let's see. Chehalis County would become Grays Harbor County in 1950. Okay. Deputy Sheriff John McKenzie. Soon the deputy rounded up a group of more than 50 men to search for the brothers, who soon returned with the 2 dead bodies. Both had been shot in the head and stripped of their weapons. Huh. But see, that's kind of strange. I mean, what are the chances of him shooting like that and hitting them? I mean, he was a good shot, but like from what it was saying, it was just like it was like suppressive fire, just blah, 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 shooting at the direction. So there's probably more to it. I don't know, we'll find out. Maybe there was something and they were trying to get him and he shot them and he actually, got the beat on them and actually shot them. Because that's kind of weird. I mean, I can understand him taking their equipment and stuff, but it's weird that he, so far away, shot back at the direction of someone shooting him and got headshots to 2 people. Alright. Stripped of their weapons. Mackenzie immediately announced that the shooting had to have been committed by John. Well, how do they know, though? That's kind of crazy that he just immediately... There must be some other stuff going on. And a posse was rounded up to search for the wild man living in the forest. Maybe there was some kind of dispute with his family, and they were targeted. You know what I mean? Because how would he just, it's got to be the mountain man. In no time, loggers and farmers making up the posse were roaming the Satsop area and and lower regions of the Wenatchee Valley, wary of the large man they knew to have the intuition of an animal and the skills of an Indian. The posse was skittish and terrified of the wild man. When one group heard a sound in the brush, a shot rang out, killing a cow. Though the men were sure that Tornow was nearby each time they heard the slightest noise in the woods, they never spotted him. It's like the scene in Rambo where the police are going out. I wonder if that's what inspired what's his face to write the book. That when they go out, the police go into the woods. I'm probably beating a dead horse here if you've seen it, and he's just hiding everywhere and getting them and everything. It's probably the best part of the movie, really. The longer they searched and didn't find the quote 8-man killer, the more the tales grew more and more exaggerated. Soon the stories told of a cold-eyed giant constantly traversing the forest in search of prey, who soon earned such labels as the Wild Man of Wenatchee, the Cougar Man, and a Mad Daniel Boone. These are like horrible names. Wild Man. The Washington Wild Man. Let's see, Cougar Man. The Mad Cougar. The Mad Cougar Man. That would have been cool. The Mad Cougar Man. That's better. Yeah. Anyway. The story grew larger with each telling until the entire countryside was terrified. As the story spread to the adjacent camps of Aberdeen, know that one, Montesano, Elma, and Hoquiam, yep, no one felt safe with John Tornow on the prowl. Women and children were warned to stay indoors as the men oiled their hunting rifles and unleashed their dogs for protection. But it said a couple years, right? As men continued to search into the winter, they were forced into the lowlands due to the deep snow. Oh, come on, man, every time. Hold on a second. Recording podcast will do as soon as done. All right. As man first in the lowlands, Tornow headed to the higher terrains. Sometime later, the wild man broke into Jackson's County grocery store, intending to help himself to a few provisions. Often he was known to burglarize cabins and stores to get what he needed to survive. However, on this occasion, he found more than just flour, salt, and matches, but also a strong box filled with about 15,000. Ooh. The grocery also served as the town's bank. Ooh. Score. But he can't, what's he going to do though? He can't go in the town to spend it, you know? So how's that going to work? I mean, yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, is it really useful for him? I don't think so. In no time, Chehalis County offered a $1,000 reward for the return of the stolen money. And despite their fears of the wild man, the number of the men hunting Tornow dramatically increased. The blast of gunfire could be heard echoing in the forest. And on February 20th, 1912, 1 year after the 1911 was invented, a gunshot happy hunter killed a 17-year-old boy, mistaking him for Tornow. This is why you always know what you're shooting at, man. And the fundamentals. The dense area where Tornow made his home is now part of. Oh, so where that guy lived and all this happened is now the Olympic National Forest. A few weeks later, a traveler prospector reported to Sheriff McKenzie that he had spotted Tornow at a camp in Oxbow. Oxbow? I thought Oxbow was like in Wyoming or something. Anyway, together with the deputy game warden Albert Elmer, the pair headed out, but found only a cold campfire at the point where Tornow had been spied on. Sure that the money was buried somewhere close, the two began to look around. They were rewarded with 2 gold coins, but didn't find the strong box. Looking for that money. Sometime later, Sheriff McKenzie and Warden Elmer went missing, and the reward was increased to 2,000. On March 16th, Deputy Sheriff A.L. Fitzgerald gathered another posse to hunt for the 8-man in both Oxbow and Chehalis counties. Though they searched high and low for Tornow, what they found instead were the bodies of Sheriff McKenzie and Albert Elmer. Both had been shot between the eyes and gutted with a knife. Damn. It was on. This is crazy. How have I never heard about this? This would be a good series. Though, man, stupid ads keep messing everything up. Though the searches continued and Tornow was spied on occasionally, the mountain man continued to elude capture. A month later, on April 16th, Deputy Giles Quimby and 2 other men named Lewis Blair and Charlie Lathrop came upon a small shack made of bark. Sure that the crude cabin belonged to Tornow, Quimby wanted to head back for a posse, but the other 2 balked at having to share the bounty. So with the guns ready, they approached the shack when a shot rang out, hitting Blair, who fell into the nearby bushes. Lathrop returned fire, but was immediately hit in the neck, killing him instantly. Quimby was also left alone with the marksman and desperately tried to negotiate with Tornow, telling him that all he wanted was the strongbox and promising to let the wanted man go free. From his hiding place, Tornow shouted, "It's buried." Oh, that's a picture of the Quimby guy. Quimby continued, asserting that he wanted nothing but the return of the money and would leave John alone. Though Tornow was hesitant, unsure that Quimby would keep his word, the deputy assured him he would let him go. Finally, Tornow answered the deputy by stating, "It's buried in Oxbow by the boulder that looks like a fish's fin. Take it and leave me alone." Having retrieved the information from Tornow, Quimby didn't keep his word, opening fire upon the foliage where John was hiding. Though no return shots were fired, Quimby wasn't sure if he had hit the man or if Tornow might be just plain dead. Stealthily, Quimby scurried away through the woods. I was going to say, so how do we know all this information? When Quimby returned to Montesana, I can't say it, Sheriff Matthews gathered up another posse, and the man began to trek back to the spot where Quimby had fired on Tornow. A tear cautionarily approaching the trees, Tornow was found dead, leaning against a tree. Oh, what? Men found $6 silver coins in his body, identifying some of them as those taken from Jackson's grocery store. So the Quimby guy hit him. There's a picture that was posted of him dead. It looks like they don't have it, though. Well, that's kind of lame. Before Tornow's body was even returned to Montesano, word had already reached the town that the wild man had been killed, and curious gawkers began lining the street to get a peek at the legendary mountain man. Deputy Sheriff Quimby told newspaper reporters that John Tornow had the most horrible face I ever saw. The shaggy beard and long hair, out of which gleamed two shining murderous eyes, haunts me now. I could only see his face as he uncovered himself to fire a shot, and all the hatred that could fire the soul of a human being was evident. That was end of quote. Sorry, I didn't say that was a quote. This further fueled the curiosity seekers' desire to see the wild man's face. In response, his brother Fred, who had traveled up from Portland, tried to prevent the body's public display. However, when some 250 gawkers stormed the tiny morgue demanding to see the body, the overwhelmed coroner allowed them inside. Before it was said and done, the crowd required dozens of deputy sheriffs to prevent the nearly 700 citizens from tearing off bits of the dead man's clothing and removing locks of hair. Yeah, what is with people in this stuff? You know, like Bonnie and Clyde, and just like people just go crazy for this stuff, for psycho. I don't know. I don't know. Dude, if I was that coroner, I would have been like, hey, you can see it for a penny or something, you know, charge them. Let them come in, make some money off it. Anyway, fearing that those who could not view the body at the morgue would appear at the funeral, his service was held at the family's old homestead. Immediately, postcards featuring a photo of Tornow were printed, along with numerous newspaper articles with screaming headlines calling Tornow the great outlaw of Western Washington. Of his brother's death, Fred Tornow would, when questioned by the press, say, "I'm glad John is dead. I was the best way now." Wait, what? I was the best way now that it's over, and I would rather see him killed outright than linger in a prison cell. Okay, that's true. The Oregonian newspaper, noted that at the time of Tornow's death, he had $1,700 in deposit in a Montesano bank. How? Owned real estate in Aberdeen and was part owner of a timber claim in Chehalis. Giles Quimby was proclaimed a hero for finally killing the feared wild man of Wenatchee, so much so that he received offers to appear on stage to tell his gruesome tale. Quimby politely turned down these offers. Well, that's cool. When the furor of Tornow's death had settled, Quimby looked for the boulder that looked like, oh yeah, I forgot, a fish's fin, and was delighted when he found it. However, his happiness was short-lived, as searching as he might, he never found the strongbox. Numerous other men followed in his footsteps, looking all over Oxbow, Washington, but the 15,000 treasure was never found. Oh, huh. The money is thought to have been buried in Wenatchee River, where it turns into a large horseshoe-shaped creek. However, a dam has since been built upstream, which may have caused a change in the river's flow. Tornow said that he buried the cachet near a fin-like rock. The hiding place is within the Olympic National Forest, which requires hunting permission. Somebody found it. They didn't say anything. You know, if you're in the woods, you're not going to be like, oh, hey, I found, because chances are it was stolen. And you have to give it back, you know. I mean, I don't know. Is it really theft? Tornow was buried in the Matlock Cemetery in Grace Harbor, Washington, where his tombstone stands today. So that's crazy, man. That's a crazy story. I never heard of that one. I could see how that would influence a lot of stuff that we know today. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed though that I was kind of hoping it was more of a shootout. You know, another posse comes in, there's a big gunfight. I mean, that's kind of bad to say, I guess. But as far as stories go, you know, I wonder if this was. I'm gonna look and see. Let me look. Dude, this has to have been like some kind of show or something. Some TV movie back in the day. Because that's a pretty cool story. It's crazy. Let's see. Before I run too much time. Let's see. Trying to see. Let's see. Wiki. Man. Blah. Friend of Foe. Legend of Satsop Hills. Alright, let's see. Here's Wikipedia. The thing I like about Wikipedia is this, you know, all the things are like links so you can go check out. So here it's talking about the Satsop Hills where this all happened. Okay, my mouse is not working for some reason. Okay, there we go. I'm just looking to see if we're to talk about this guy, but I don't think it. Oh, here we go. Fugitive John Tornow. Still, he's not lit up or nothing. Despite Quimbley refused, blah, blah, blah. So nothing new. Mad Daniel Boone. I think it should be the Mad Cougar. What did I say it before? Mad Cougar. Yeah, the Mad Cougar Man or something. I wonder if there's. Let me see. What's this guy's name again? I'm gonna see if there's a TV movie or something about him. What the crap? Okay, John Tornow. Gosh, horrible memory. Let's see. John Tornow film. Let's see. See what comes up. I don't think there is. Friend of Foe. Wild Man where legend lives on. An advertisement in the Tacoma Times promoted the Beast Man. Made exclusively for the Melbourne theater that was silent. Oh, so they did make a film back in the day. See, why don't, instead of remaking stuff, why don't they take this story and make something, man? This is a cool story. You know, you could make a series out of this and not maybe focus so much on the guy, but like, you know, have a good series that kind of has a few people, a few characters that you're following and he's just part of it, you know, and it follows maybe the Quimby guy, like him, whatever. I don't know. You could do something with it. I wish I was a better writer. I have ideas. I'm just not the greatest writer. I've written a few things and then I started something and I was like, oh man, this is, okay, I like it. But then I got like an AI thing and I grabbed that whole chapter and I put it into an AI to see what it would come up with. And it was so much better. And I was just like, ugh. But I don't know, I guess I could do that, write something and then just have AI edit it for me maybe. I don't know, but all that stuff is online. So it's like, I feel like people could take it. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. Let me know what you think about this story. Have you heard it before? Do you know anything else about it? But again, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate your time and God bless. All right. Bye.